We're gonna go live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Tronpower Talk. Today we have with us George from ScoreMilk and Big Oso. Um, say hi, everyone. I can't
What's up? What's up?
hear George. I think I can't hear you. Hold on.
You know, we always have challenging difference. So
My,
this
hold
is
on. Hello, George. Are you there? Okay, while George fixes his mic, yeah, everyone, welcome to Tron Power Talk. So, Tron Power Talk is a video series where we focus on Tron projects, interesting Tron projects, as well as TBL projects. So, the whole purpose of the Tron Power Talk is to focus on projects like that are building on Tron, and yeah, check out the TBL. It's in the video descriptions below, and yeah, Big also any words to say?
yes. The truth is that I this is the second episode, guys. So it's really, really important for us to give highlights to those projects that they're making difference and they're making communities. They're really connecting to the Web3 world, and is giving. I know the Score Milk is one like the second. Let's say like the second project that is representing. You know, the first one was Trump Power. The second one is Score Milk, and I love their tournaments all the week. They're hustling. I for me it's always, even today, guys, for everybody to know, we have like a tournament, and we give like more than $200 in prizes. You know, always encouraging community. So I'm happy that George is here to share his vision. We hope he will be able to connect everything so we can have like a special stream. So yes, yes, I know the Corey. Sometimes he goes and goes streaming with us, even that he's late in Singapore. So how is your experience when you get to know like Scorpion? How do you experience? How do you experience like game fight on Tron?
How do I what on how do I experience?
Yes, like how do you? Yes, do you like it? Do you like the
Yeah, I
community?
think
How do
I
you see
think
it, bro?
I think the interesting thing about Tron is because if you stake enough Tron, you can get a free transactions. So actually, you end up being able to be part of GameFi projects without having to pay gas fee. So that's something very interesting. Um, and I think we'll probably go into this later in the discussion. Like what's the future for GameFi because you know past few years GameFi has been up and down. George, are you back?
Yeah, I
George is
think I'm back.
back.
Okay.
I
I
just left
need
and
to
came
just
back.
set up.
It's weird how everything works when we're testing like the half hour before, and then when you start, everything goes down the drain.
Yeah. Let me set you back up here.
Yeah,
That's life, bro.
I'm trying to get the camera back up.
Yeah, yeah, you should be fine. It takes a while to load. There we go.
All right,
Yeah,
at least you can hear. There you go.
there we go. Okay. Wait, everyone, we have George from ScoreMilk. Yeah, so introduce yourself, I guess.
Hey everybody. So my name is George. I'm one of the founders of ScoreMilk. We started about maybe 3 years ago. Also one of the Tron Super representatives representing TronSpark. Now TronSpark originated back in 2018. I'll give just a little very, very brief background. So I learned about Tron back in late 2017. I had a friend of mine from college. We were part of like a crypto group, just sharing alpha with each other. And one day he calls me. He's like, "Hey, I have some of my friends back in China telling me that Tron has a lot of potential." So I got that information. I ran with it. I did some research. I found the article that most people found, which is the Jack Ma and how Justin's son is 30 under 30. He went to the Jack Ma University, and because of all the information that I gathered, I decided to get involved with Tron. And then about maybe 8 months later, one of the guys that I had met, I had only talked to him briefly, but he knew that my friend and I were big Tron supporters. So he calls us up and he's like, "Hey, why don't let's go ahead and I set up a whole news platform. Let's go ahead. I did all the basically I have everything set up already. I just need my friend to do the servers and me to handle writing articles and doing more of the digital content. Why don't we go ahead and run with that and try to become an SR?" And that's basically where the journey started. So we did a campaign. We got a few influencers, and over a couple days, we were able to become. I think it was the 22nd or 23rd Genesis
Wow,
Super representatives,
that's
and we've been doing
cool.
that ever since.
Yeah, so it was a two-man operation?
No, initially it was three.
Okay,
Initially it
cool,
was
cool.
three. It was a grind. I don't know if you guys, Corey. I think you were definitely around back then.
Hmm.
It was very competitive. Everybody was
Hmm.
competing for awards.
Yeah.
Awards weren't automatic. All the SRs had scripts that they had to go ahead and run on a daily basis. We were writing articles almost every day. And at the time, TRX was ranging somewhere around 3 cents. So it was a lot of work, to the point that one of the guys like, "Hey guys, I just don't have the time. I have two kids. I don't have the time. I just have to step back." So he stepped back. I mean, he's actually, he went with me to a Bitcoin conference this year. He's still a big supporter of Tron. He
Hmm.
just at the time, he just didn't have the time to be handling the day-to-day operations. And always back then, I don't know if you remember back then, but transactions wouldn't go through sometimes when you ran the script, and you had people, "Hey, I didn't get my rewards today." So it was like day to day,
Hmm.
just making sure every day you had to you know log in, run the script, and see if everything went through. uh it's just, so he just basically, so then from three it became a two-man
Okay.
operation. And then of course we expanded our team.
Hmm.
So we met God's Will, we met Jose, a couple other guys, and then from that point we just kept working together.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, there was like websites just to monitor your APY from SR votes. Yeah, so that's an interesting um segue, right? Because I understand, ScoreMilk, Tronverse, and TronSpark are all related. So I guess you guys started doing that SR and then you transitioned to doing ScoreMilk. Um,
Yeah, I'll tell you the birth of ScoreMilk.
mhm,
So ScoreMilk came, I believe it was the very first week of 2020. It might have been. Justin's Sun announced that they were going to give a grant to all the SRs depending on how many blocks they produced. At the time, I don't know if it was like 60,000 or somewhere around there, like maybe $60,000. And then we asked ourselves, what can we do with this money where it brings some value to the chain? At the time, what was very popular were gambling apps. You had Wink, you had was it Tronbet and a couple others, Dice, I think it was, and a couple others. Um, so we decided, hey, how about, wouldn't it be cool if we built a platform where users can go ahead and compete against each other, skill-based games, going back to your college days when your friend tells you, "Hey man, I'll bet you $20 that I'll beat you at Halo." So that's basically where the idea started. So we grabbed the basic Flappy Bird game and we started testing with the idea. And then we realized that one of the biggest hurdles with competitive gaming, especially if you're wagering, is people cheating. So that became the next thing that we had to tackle. So we started thinking, and then we came up with the idea, which we actually patented. It's to inject human only readable elements into gameplay. And we went ahead and did a prototype with our snake game. So the snake game, it's the snake game that everybody's used to, except that in this case there's two pellets. One pellet is a good pellet, the other pellet is a bad pellet, and then we have a human only readable content, which in this case it's a captcha. It doesn't have to be a captcha; it could be something else. It tells the human player which is the good one, which is the bad one. So what that does, it gives an advantage to a human player over a script that has to process and figure out the captcha first. And in one game, you got to figure out about anywhere between 25 and 30 some captchas. So it'll basically, it'll slow. If you have a bot running, it'll slow it down to the point that the human has an advantage. So we actually applied for the patent back in 2021, and we got granted the patent. I think it was either, I think it was March of April, or it might have been April of last year, and then it got published on July of last year. Now we're still trying to expand on that, but I think that's going to be important going forward because people are always, especially with AI and stuff, people are always going to be trying to cheat the
Well,
system.
that's a cool,
And that was the
yeah,
yeah.
that's a cool story behind that Snake game because when I played it, I'm like, oh, it's a bit unique, and I didn't know that's a solution to cheating basically. Like that's very interesting and yeah, like a very elegant solution, I guess. Like yeah.
Yeah, we actually, if you look at the pattern, there's like 8 different examples. Some of them using sound, some of them using captchas. Anything that basically requires processing, where the human can process it quicker. That's basically a solution.
Hmm.
And right now, we only have it integrated into Snake, but you can easily think of a racing game, right? In the racing game, you could have something similar that tells you, go through this tunnel and not this tunnel. Something along those lines.
Hmm. Cool. And and you know maybe you skipped ahead a little bit. So I guess what's your background like? Did you have any? It seems like you guys had no real experience in like game development or like, and then what's your
Yeah,
yeah, personal background?
yeah. So, and to answer your question, so when we got that grant, we decided to use 100% of the money to start building whatever project we are going to build because we wanted to build something that'll help Tron, and we decided to go with that skill-based gaming. So we started the branding. Eder used to own a marketing agency, so he came up with the name. And then just one thing led to another. We initially hired a friend developer of ours to do the prototype. That lasted about maybe 8 months. And then once we were good with the prototype, we actually expanded on the team. We've been self-funded the whole time. We have gotten some grants along the way. We did apply for season four, Binance Lab season four. They initially made us an offer. It was a $1 million offer for 20%. We ended up countering. We only wanted to give away 10% because in our tokenomics we wanted to have a community bracket that we can go ahead and give to the community with basically a distribution curve. Then what happened was Luna happened. Things went silent for about 5 6 weeks. Then it ended up the deal didn't go through. They made the offer, we countered. We thought that they were going to take it, and then it just didn't go through. And then after that, FTX happened. I think it was like 8 months. I think Luna was like in May of that year, and then FTX happened in December of that year. So things, it's just things happen, and then from that, we also talked to Techstars. We interviewed with them. We also got an offer from Brink and Amoka Brands, but it just didn't make sense. We were so far along in development that what they offered, it really didn't make sense. It wasn't a good offer. It was like a kind of like a really really extremely low ball offer. So we just decided, what? Let's go ahead, build the platform ourselves. We're there already. I mean, we're already done 2 years of development. So to give up 7 8% of the company for peanuts, it didn't make sense. So let's just go ahead and go after the users, and that's what we've been focusing on: building community, bringing the users on, and that's where we're at right now. Now, to answer your next question, which is what is my background? So yeah, we're not, we don't have, like, Eder and I are the founders. We don't have a background in game development, but we do have a team that has a pretty extensive background in game development. We had one of the guys that used to he did one of the maps. I think it was a mall map for Call of Duty. So he's one of the first guys that designed some of the maps for Clism. Clism was a game that we were going to put out, which is a first person shooter. And then when the crypto, not when the crypto, but well, I guess you could say when the crypto winter happened, gaming kind of died out after Axie Infinity collapsed. we kind of put that on hold because we had to, everything deals with resources. We had to go ahead and allocate our resources on our primary product, which is ScoreMilk. And then later on, we got the opportunity to take a bigger role in Tron Bull and Tronverse. This was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And we went ahead and, we did help from the beginning with the 3D rendering of the characters. We have a really good 3D animation and design team, as you can see from some of the media that we put out. So my background, to answer your question directly, my background, I did engineering. Eder used to have a marketing agency, which he sold, and then he got into the coffee business. So he owns several coffee stores and a roaster in Texas. And as of a couple of years ago, he decided to go full on tech. So he actually liquidated a couple of those assets. He did keep one or two, but he's pretty much going full tech right now.
Cool. I think yeah, you mentioned a couple of things that we are probably going to cover, like mention like the future of gaming and like Axie Infinity, and like maybe you could describe a bit more about Tronverse. But maybe big also, do you have any questions that you wanna ask after hearing
Yes.
all that?
First of all, everybody that is watching this live, please comment, share, and like the video. We just fighting to make community. We're trying to connect people to get to know more ScoreMilk, to get to know more Tronpower Talk, and here we're serving. So I wanted to start like that. Give thanks to Corey to leave me in the in this second episode. And yes, I really want to give highlight. One of the things that I want to highlight of ScoreMilk, and maybe George can extend himself sharing why he's so committed to this. And I really like the way that he managed to educate. I think this is really important for us to know. Every time that they have a tournament, I see a lot of people. They're showing them how to use wallets. They're showing them how to use the platform, how to get energized, how to really achieve that. So, why, George, you think that it's important for us that we're building to be educating our community? What are I know is that we want it, but why you're so committed to that?
Well, so you got to go back to our first days in crypto, right? We were pretty much lost. Okay, when I first got into crypto, I was like, I don't know how to create a wallet. Back then, there was no chat GPT to guide me. I was, I'm pretty much flying blind trying to Google stuff. And at the same time, you're scared, right? Because you hear all these stories. Oh, they got my private key. What I do? Where do I store my private key? What do I do with it? What if somebody, gets access to my computer? So it's a lot of hesitation when you're setting things up. So I think when you're in a group and you're helping each other out, it helps with that anxiety, right? That not knowing, are my assets safe? You have you just feel more comfortable as a group. So I think in order to go ahead and bring Web 2 into Web 3, it has to start with education. You got to simplify things, go over the basics, so that the individuals who are new to Web 3 don't get overloaded and they're like, what, this is just too much for me. Because I see that all the time. I tell people about crypto and they're like, oh, I just don't get it. I don't want to even touch it because I'm just scared. So I think education is definitely very important. And one other thing that I see is, so you educate to get them on, and then I think the next aspect has to be community. I think anything is doable. If you look at many successful projects, some of them might be a one-man team or a two-man team, and they succeed because they're able to get believers in what they're doing. So I think with community, if all the soldiers on Tron unite and get behind one concept, one idea, one platform, I think anything is possible. I know it doesn't sometimes seem that way. You think about it and you're like, oh, it's so much work, the chances of this happening, but it does happen. I mean, I've seen it happen on many places, and not just in crypto, just outside of crypto. I had a friend of mine. We went to school together. We've been friends since, I guess, the first year of college. He had subpar grades. I'm saying a GPA maybe 2.6 or something like that. But he was a hard worker. He tried hard. He went to shows all around the world. He ended up even getting a patent for the technology. He was in the communication industry. And in a matter of 10 years, he built a $25 million empire. But why? Because he believed that he could do it. And his take was, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. He left his hometown for a couple of years, went to headquarters for the big company he worked for, made the right contacts. Then he quit, started his own contracting company, would get contracts from his previous employer, other employers as well in the communication industry. And before you know it, he basically, he built an empire to the point he didn't want to sell a company. And somebody in Silicon Valley came up to him. They're like, "Hey, you want to sell?" He's like, "No, I don't want to sell. This is my company." And the company told him, "Look, just think of a number, whatever number you think, and throw it at us." So he's like, "Okay, fine." So he threw a really high number, and the company said, "Sure, no problem, let's do it." And that's just hard work, perseverance, and believing. He believed in himself. He believed that he can do, what he initially set out to do. He had an issue at first with the patent, right? Because the patent, for some reason, it was already approved in Canada. Somebody in Canada had the patent, but he was able, somehow he got it approved through the USPTO, and he somehow got in contact with the owner in Canada, and the person in Canada is like, "Look, I don't care what you do, as long as you stay away from my market, we don't have a problem." Perfect. So he's like, "All right, I'll run with that. That way, because the guy in Canada could technically go after him and say, 'Hey, you're working on something that's very similar to the patent that I already own. Maybe the USPTO missed it.'" Uh, and whatever the case may be, I don't know the exact details, but they worked it out. And that's just him persevering and just figuring it out. You just got to figure it out. And I think that's what Tron needs to do. We need to figure out how to get the largest community in crypto. And that's just not Big Oso, Corey, or myself putting these events together. That takes everybody who is in the community to do that same effort. If we all do that, we can definitely. Tron is a powerhouse. Okay, if you look at CoinMarketCap and what Tron has accomplished, if we were to tell you, if we were to go back in time, let's say 5 years, okay, and you would tell people, "Hey, Tron is in 5 years from now is going to be number 9. It's going to be one of the leaders in stable coins. It's going to be well affiliated with the U.S. government." Nobody, I'm talking about nobody would believe you, right? Because at the time, Tron was kind of not really engaged with the U.S. and what they have accomplished in 5 years is it's extraordinary. Right now it's at 34 cents. Now a dollar is like right around the corner. Okay, before you're at 3 cents and you're like, "Oh, a dollar." It's you believe that it can happen, but it's it's hard. I mean, a 33x is not easy. So Tron has accomplished things that's pretty incredible. Now, with that already, now it's already established. You already have proof. You already have adoption. You already have the metrics. You have how many people are using the chain, how many, how many, the numbers of wallets, the numbers of transactions. That's already data. That's already metrics. So it should be a lot easier now to build a community because you already have something to show, right? Before it was more like okay, I have a white paper and this is what we want to build and we're working towards that. But no, we already have the proof. We already have. Just the other day, Justin was taking a picture with one of the Trumps and his wife. Okay, that doesn't happen just, hey, let me out of coincidence. That happens through a lot of hard work, a lot of networking, a lot of connections. And personally, I think that's one of the keys to building something. It's relationships. A lot of the opportunities that ScoreMilk has had has been through relationships. Has been, the first time that we started, we were considering to raise and we started approaching VCs and stuff. We made some contacts. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, Axie Infinity didn't work out. It crashed. The whole gaming sector pretty much took a dive. But those relationships ended up benefiting us because number one, we became really good friends with some of those individuals. Those individuals later on offered us opportunities, even grants. Okay, through integrations and stuff of that nature. So one of the things I say to the Tron community is you keep building a community you go ahead and you're increasing your opportunities. One of the I don't know if he probably hasn't told anybody, but one of the team members in ScoreMilk, I know that when the meme season started taking off, and he's been forever for maybe 4 years. They're based in Africa and Nigeria. And I know that I've mentioned this before that changed their life, but it goes a step further. One of the guys I know that he told me, and he said it publicly on a lot of our game nights, that $100 of tokens that I gave him, he converted to 6,000. But it doesn't stop there. He just told me a couple days ago that he's going to the UK now because he applied for some program and he was able to pay the semester thanks to what he was able to get out of those tokens that he received, that later on he made 6,000. If it wasn't for those $6,000, chances are he probably wouldn't have had that opportunity to be
So,
accepted at a school in the UK, which is
so
pretty amazing.
I want to really highlight to the community this, because not everybody's like that, guys. Not everybody just goes and help people. It's obvious that you always gain something when you help people, but I'm really happy to see people like George, and I pray to God to bring more people like George in the community, because I think that is wonderful to see these type of stories that they inspire to help your community. And when we say build the community, it's not about just posting an image of a meme. It's not about just posting like daily content. It's to really connect, really know their dreams, really know their goals, really create a community that is after it's like a family. So George, I'm happy to hear that you're an example of someone that really wants to go far, and we know the score mill will do it.
And big also, I want to clarify that I'm just a regular person. Okay, I'm not a, you know, I'm I'm just an average normal person. Yeah. I guess I did do my part as far as getting a degree or whatever, but I'm just like anybody else. One of the things that I get from a lot of community members is like, oh, I'm not good at that. I'm not. I can guarantee you that if I told you 5 years ago that I would be hosting game nights and that I would be doing interviews on a live, I would I myself would not believe it, because I'm the last person. Remember, I'm a math person. I've always studied math. I've never been center of attention. I've always been more the quiet type. Never been the type. Never taken any public speaking. Never wanted to do any public speaking. I've told you guys my first experience with public speaking. I completely blanked out. And the reason was because I was doing it wrong. I tried to memorize 3 paragraphs. The minute you forget one word, that's it. You're like, oh, you're like a deer, like a deer with headlights, right? You're like, oh, crap, I forgot the word. I don't know what to say. And you just blank out. That happens. It happened. Big deal. Okay, you move on and you keep practicing, just like Sunny D always says. Join the space. This is a perfect opportunity to join a Tron Mega Space or join a Tron Game Night, join the stage and just talk and just get comfortable. Get comfortable with just talking to each other, building that friendship. Once you get used to it, it comes natural and you don't even care. Like, I was like, oh, I have an interview with Corey today. No big deal. 5 years ago, I would have been dreading it. I would have been like, oh my God, what am I going to say? What do I do? I would be all, but you get used to it. It's all practice. Like Sunny D says, it's all practice. And,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just an
Yeah.
average person. What I do, anybody can do. Okay. You just got to commit to it. Right. So I know that Big also likes putting me on a pedestal, but I'm just an average person. He's also, he's shown me some of the stuff that he works on. He's a go-getter. He's a hustler. Okay. He's actually, I see him more of a hustler than I am, actually. Okay. Because he's taken a huge step. Okay. He basically shut down his taco business to go full on digital. That's a huge commitment, huge responsibility. You don't make that. That's a decision you don't take lightly. So he's definitely a hustler. But we need just the Tron community to step up. Everybody in the Tron community step up, and if everybody puts in a good amount of work, we can accomplish anything. Okay, it's not. One of the things that my partner tells me all the time, he's like, you know what, George? I know a lot of smart people. Okay, it's not the smart people who get ahead. Okay, the smart people, they come up with too many good ideas, and they're just always chasing that shiny light. They come up with a good idea, and then a week later they come up with another great idea, and they never finish anything. They're always just chasing that shiny light. He goes, my friends who are successful, which he has a lot of them, and I've met a bunch of them. He's like, the reason they're successful is because perseverance. They stick to something simple, and they just become obsessed with it and just continue at it until they get it right. They keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. At first it might not be going right, but then they figure out, okay, why is it not going right? Let me do this, let me try this. And they just keep a very simple idea, they just become the best at that simple idea. He says those are my friends who have been successful, not the smartest ones, but the ones who are persistent and just keep on at it and keep on at it. And I think that's if the community, the Tron community thinks like that, and everybody keeps at it and keeps, on the next mega space, add five more people. On the one after, add two more people. Just keep going in the right direction. Before you know it, 2 years from now, we'll have a community of 20,000, diehard supporters of Tron. And I think it's doable. It's doable, but it does take, it does take the community to see what is needed to get there. It just doesn't happen by, oh yeah, let's throw three guys throw an event and and hope that that works. No, it takes being consistent, going to every event, helping each other out, stuff along those lines. And that's what we're aiming for. We're trying to make something that's fun with the ScoreMilk tournaments, and at the same time build those bonds. Like right now, I think our community is a lot stronger than it was a year and a half ago. I mean, Corey, you and I interact like we're friends. Nage Rax, I see him like a good friend of mine. Everybody on those calls when they go on stage, it's just building those bonds, and those bonds are necessary to be able to grow. You start with a strong a group of 10, 20, 30, and then it becomes infectious, right? If you have negativity, it all goes downhill. Okay, that's why in the last couple game nights we've stressed that out. If there's negativity, there's no room for that. Okay, you got to be positive. You got to work with each other, and then once you build those bonds, it just becomes contagious, and then the group starts getting bigger and bigger, and you start building more relationships. I mean, a year and a half ago, I didn't know many of the people in the ambassador group. Now, I've met Sunny D in person. I've hung out with him in person. Trav as well. Big also, we talk all the time. We talk all the time, even though we haven't hung out in person, but we see each other all the time. It's like if we know each other. I mean, I know you guys probably better than some of the people that live here in my hometown that are friends. So I think that's just the key. Let's just keep building, working hard. At first, it's difficult. It comes across like, oh, it's a little daunting, right? It's like it's a lot of work, and you don't see the instant gratification. You don't see the instant results, especially like you're doing, right? Tron Power. You're at first it's going to be difficult. You're not going to have that immediate impact, but at some point, the goal is that at some point you do have like this pivotal point where now you start going at a faster rate. I mean, and I think that's what just we got to do. We just got to keep working until it clicks.
Yeah, definitely like even right now I'm facing some really strong headwinds, but I'm still focused on my protocol, and I think it'll bring a lot of benefits to the ecosystem and
That's
to
because of the energy, right? The
yeah.
energy costs, since it got cut in
Yeah,
half.
it's going to be even more competitive, less margin to work around with. But yeah, I think this is really great conversations. I never thought you'll go into like talking about entrepreneurship. Like I think I mentioned it in the first episode, just very briefly. My journey in entrepreneurship is not the smoothest. But I think maybe we can. Yeah, I think to segue into gaming, like keep going at it. I know GameFi has been has its ups and downs. You mentioned X Infinity, and then there's token models. Like, what's your thoughts on the future of GameFi? And I guess maybe it's the focus might be on like community building. For me, I think like like whether it's play to earn or whatever model, GameFi projects are building, it might be the path to building a model where it works, where you build a community and then you are able to collaborate with other projects, and then that's how they add value into the ecosystem.
So I think so. The problem in the last wave of GameFi is that the value in did not equal the value out. So in Axie Infinity, everything was going great because people were buying into the platform. The growth kept, the user growth just kept increasing and increasing and increasing. And in a model, and when the macros are like that, it's easy, right? It's easy because the demand keeps increasing, so the prices, are stabilized. They keep going up. The problem is once that plateaus and it flatlines, right? Once your growth flatlines, then okay, now what? Now you have all these digital assets that every day there's more and more of, but there's not more and more users.
Hmm.
Okay, that's the problem that happened with Axie Infinity, right?
Hmm.
At some point they hit their peak, no more users, no more additional users to take in that extra supply that was being produced every day of the Axie NFTs. And then all of a sudden the prices for Axie NFTs went from $800 to $3, and then it becomes a snowball effect, and it just basically crashes. So the token model is difficult because of that, because you need value in equal value out. That's the challenge that every game on Web3 is trying to solve. Now, in terms of ScoreMilk, the difference with ScoreMilk is that we can essentially not be a Web3 company. We could be a Web2 company, okay? Because we take a model that is very similar to a casino. Okay, we don't need a million gamers. We don't need 2 million gamers. We would be very profitable with just 5 to 10,000 gamers. We get 5 to 10,000 gamers wagering an average of, let's say, $1 a game, which is really not much. I mean, Big also myself, Nadrax, sometimes we wager 10, 15, $20 just for the fun of it. We get, anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 players doing that, and it's very profitable. So it's a little bit different. Our model, we did incorporate Web3 where you can actually play with an NFT. We have a 3D game playable character that you can actually play in a first person shooter or in the single player top score game, which is really cool. Not many NFT collections have that. We will in the future will integrate some Web3 uh, farming aspects where you can already do that. We have a quest system. We just haven't deployed the Tron version yet, but we have a quest system where you can play 25 games, and you can play, and then you can go ahead and claim $5 or $2.50 worth of the layer 1 token or layer 2 token. So we already have that, and that's more on the Web3 side. But technically, we could operate as a Web2 company because we have the same margins, if not better than a casino, right? Because we're basically just taking a cut out of every game.
Hmm.
So as far as, but yeah, to answer your question, tokenomics is not it's not easy. Tokenomics for a
Yeah.
game, if you don't have monetization like the one that ScoreMilk has, it's difficult because you got to take into account every single market scenario.
Yeah,
Like
just a game economy itself is very difficult. Like you look at Diablo, how they had a marketplace, and I think there are many like reports or like research being done on creating economies around like for games. Yeah, so that's really one step, and then you have to add in a token model. That's it's a whole other challenge.
the problem is that it's dynamic,
Hmm.
so you have to take every single situation into account. Okay, how is the tokenomics going to work on a market that is growing? How is it going to work on a flat market? How is it going to work on a bear market? Even on a crypto cycle, how is it going to work on each aspect of a crypto cycle? So there's a lot of different things that the token economy needs to take into account in order to do it right. Because on a crypto winter, there's certain dynamics in play. People may not be holding altcoin tokens as much. There's a lot of different things, and I can't name it. There's a lot of different things, so I can't really name you all of them. And there's some that I probably don't even know. But there's just very dynamic. So to make the token economy work in every situation, it's not easy. That's why there really hasn't been a game that has nailed it. There isn't a game that's like, oh, this tokenomics is perfect, because it might be perfect in the current situation, But 6 months from now, when the market completely turns, or the user growth stalls, it's a totally different situation. So it's not an easy thing. I think what's really going to take gaming to the next level is once you have a large AAA studio go ahead and adopt one of the games. Okay, you keep showcasing the game. I think that's something that could actually happen to the Tronverse game, because the Tronverse game, I love first person shooters. The games that I never play any single player games. The games that I've played over the last 20, 25 years have been Battlefield, Call of Duty. There was a time I played Wolfenstein, only multiplayer. I don't play first player games.
No
What other
Fallout?
first person
You don't
shooter?
play Fallout? Single player? You never
I
got into
never
that?
played Fallout because during that time I wasn't gaming that much. I was gaming a little bit before that, I think. I liked Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, all shooters.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, I have a really good time playing Tronverse. I think it has a lot of potential. I think once it has power ups, once it has different mechanics, maybe like a portal, or yeah, like a warp portal, and different the little things. Once you add the little things with the power ups, I don't see why a AAA studio does not see the game and say, hey, let's buy them out, and then we can use our extensive funding to build a world around that. I mean, I can envision a huge metaverse world with different types of games. Maybe even a game like Fall Guys, right? Because the characters look very similar. There's so much
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yes, and speaking of like a metaverse or like a hub, like have you so one question I want to ask, right? And also maybe um links back to Tronverse. So I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like Tronverse is like I would say like an infrastructure layer to building your games on top of them. So have you heard? Have you ex at least looked at like things like roadblocks or like core engine. I think that's a famous example of like they're building a whole ecosystem where the community can build games on top of existing. And it's probably not that easy, right? But there's the opportunity for someone to build you know games or whole games on top of the engine and probably make a whole system, and it adds value, right? You create entertainment, you can monetize the mini games or the individual IP, right?
Yeah, so I'll start off with ScoreMilk. That's the idea behind ScoreMilk. ScoreMilk, we did put out an SDK. We haven't focused too much on it because the issue with having too many games, especially when you're early, right? When your user base is, hundreds of players, you don't want to have too many games because you're starting to divide the audience. So we wanted to start with only 5, 6 games. So we haven't really put emphasis on the SDK. The SDK we released it about, I think it was like 2 years ago, and that's actually what we did with Tronverse. Just to make sure the SDK worked, we gave the SDK to the Tronverse team, and we said, go at it, see if you can go ahead and integrate to ScoreMilk. It took them some time. I remember they had to come back and forth a couple times asking questions and stuff like that, but they were able to integrate the, it wasn't the PvP, it was a top score game. I know they integrated that game with the SDK that we gave them. Now we haven't put much development resources into enhancing the SDK because we're not there yet. We decided, let's focus on the games that we do have and take it from there. So ScoreMilk is definitely that type of platform. Our competitors are Poke Games, Crazy Games. They have a very different model. They're an advertising based model. They don't offer anything but you go to their platform and play the games. In our platform, we offer pretty much the same thing. You can play those same exact games, but now you can chat with other users. You can wager. You can do quests and earn tokens or earn money. We have a coin system. You can also wager coins. We have all the Web3 elements that they do not have. So that does make ScoreMilk an infrastructure play because game developers at some point will launch a marketing campaign to try to bring over some of those game developers from those old school monetization platforms that rely on advertising to a system that relies more on a revenue share. So right now, if you look, if if I'm a game developer and I launch on the old school platforms, they need about, I think it's 1,000 gameplays in order to earn about $1.50 to $5 worth of revenues. Okay, on ScoreMilk, if there's 1,000 gameplays with wagering involved, they can make 50 times the same amount of money on the same exact game being on ScoreMilk as opposed to being on an ad-based platform. So I think we do bring value, and we are an infrastructure play. We can bring any game developer that's out there. It's going to make sense to them. Hey, it's worth our time on ScoreMilk a lot more than being on an ad-based platform. So that's the ScoreMilk side. Now on the Tronverse side, I know initially they wanted to do land. The original team wanted to do land and a metaverse and stuff like that, and then all that got scrapped, I guess, because of resources. And that's when we stepped in because they didn't have they ran out of resources. And since it was one of the cooler games on our platform, we pretty much took a part ownership in Tronverse, and we're pretty much running on the dev side. So we basically gave them the possibility of continuing, because at the end of the day, you need funding to build. People got to put food on the table, right? People have families. They can't just dedicate 3 4 5 years of their life hoping that something happens, and wasting their own money. So that's so can it be an architecture play? Yes, it can be, but it needs the right support. Okay, I know that on the Tronverse side, the team brought in a new business development lead. She's based in China. She's going to start very soon. She's going to start reaching out to the Tron team and other partners to try to build that, what is needed to make both the Tronbull NFT and Tronverse a key part of GameFi in Tron, because it takes building a game and setting up the ecosystem requires a lot of resources. You're not going to do it with 200K. You need some big partners behind it, and she's going to be in charge of convincing and presenting and pitching and showing the monetization potential of Tronverse to Tron itself, so they can see, hey, this is actually a business. This is actually something that can be very profitable. If you get the right partners, you can definitely build a metaverse. You can build the architecture for other games to build on Tronverse. But we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But for the most important thing is, let's build a fun game. Once we have the community behind that fun game, then we can go ahead and focus on the tokenomics and all the other stuff. Because a lot of games build the tokenomics first. Okay, that's great. But if the game isn't fun, people are just farming it until they find the next best thing to farm, right? So we want to
Yep.
have a fun game and then build the tokenomics around that.
Yeah. So it's actually, I think BD in the comments just said, a lot of a big problem with a lot of Web3 games is they're boring, right? So I think, yeah, focusing on the fun aspect, and with Web3, there's another layer to, like, educating about Web3. Right? They have to, there's another barrier of having to learn to use crypto, and then engaging with the game. So do you have any questions? I think we're hitting the 50th minute mark. Before we try and close off the stream, like, any questions from you?
For me, it's it's incredible. Like even if look, man, even if it's just for us, for Corey and George and me to be here, uh, just listening together, like just if we just three of us, you know, it's really been a really encouraging stories to hear, and it's a lot of things. I sometimes I think that I already hear everything about with the Scorpion, but I see that there's a lot more. There's a lot more stories behind. So I'm really happy. I was going to ask you yes, I just wanted to highlight that I'm happy to hear that you guys have made like the team be here with this new agency that is in China, that is Chinese, because I think that it's a great connection. We know that Tron is like a big way Chinese, so we believe that through that connection we're going to see succeed all your proposal. And yes, man, I wanted to ask you, like, how do you see George ScoreMilk in 3 years? What do you, what are your dreams? Like, what is your idea um, plan? Like, what do, what do you think? Like in 3 years to come,
So in 3 years, I hope to have
what
the
is your
right
goal?
part. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, in 3 years, I hope to have the right partners behind the platform. I hope to have some of the bigger players, right? In order to do the proper marketing campaigns to get those Web2 users into ScoreMilk. ScoreMilk is very easy to use, so it's not very hard. I mean, we teach users how to get onboarded to ScoreMilk in a matter of a minute or two on every game night. It's very simple. I think once the onboarding rails become easier, once it becomes more abstract, it's going to be even easier to get players on ScoreMilk. But yeah, my vision is in 2 3 years from now, have the right backers, okay, to push it at a broader scale. Right now, we're working. Remember, ScoreMilk has been bootstrapped, right? Eder and I have pretty much paid for everything. Uh, and we're fortunate for that because of the SR position we have. We've also, we've been early, right? We got into Tron very early. I think Corey, you got in pretty early as well. So we're pretty fortunate. And I'm gonna deviate a little bit here, but I think this is very important. Um, and this is the importance of community. Okay, there's a lot of guys who have been around for a long time, and my life, Eder's life, it's not going to change whether ScoreMilk succeeds or fails. Okay, so we want to go ahead and help. I remember Big also, you and I, we barely knew each other. I remember this was when the meme season started. I think we had talked maybe once or twice. I don't even know if we even talked. And I remember, we meme season had just started, and I threw you a little, hey, I heard this, and I think from my understanding is that helped you a lot, right? You were able to, and that's my goal, right? I think that's all the guys who have been here early. We want the new guys to succeed. The more they succeed, the more success stories they have, the bigger supporters are going to be of Tron. Okay, because I remember Big also when I told you, hey, look into this project. It had just launched. And I think you did well. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I did very well, bro. I did very, very well, bro.
And that's one of the things I focus on the Tron game nights. I tell people, guys, the game nights are fun. We give out about $250 worth of prizes. Some players have told me that in less than a year they've made over $2,000. I actually got that on a Telegram message. They told me, look, they were giving feedback on those couple of things happening where people were playing the same player over and over. So he was giving feedback, and he tells me, look, I'm not complaining. I just want you to know this so you can work towards fixing this. And I'm not complaining because in less than a year, I've made over $2,000 just in game nights and raffles and so forth. Which I mean, that to me that seemed like a lot, but I mean, he's telling me that, so I'm sure that that has to be accurate. But one of the things I tell him is like, and this is to the whole community. I tell them, look, these prizes are great and all, but we're talking about 20, 30, $40 per game night that a good player earns. Where the value really stands is in the community, because with a strong community, everybody shares alpha with each other. Okay, I've learned about an airdrop that's happening. I let my community know. Why? Because I want those guys to succeed. The more they succeed, the stronger community members they become, whether it's for ScoreMilk or for Tron. We want success stories. I know that we've talked to a couple of chains and asked them, how is it that you guys succeeded in bringing developers to the chain? What campaigns did you do? And their answer is it wasn't about campaigns, it wasn't about PR. It was about showing that we had success stories. The minute you have a couple success stories, a lot more devs show up. Instead of, and then the ones who haven't succeeded, you ask them, they're like, oh, yeah, we're doing all these farming campaigns and this and that. But at the end of the day, people want to see success stories. So it goes with community as well. I want my community to benefit greatly. We have community members all over the world. A lot of them are based in Nigeria, some in Brazil, some maybe in the Philippines, some in Europe, and we want those guys. Some of those countries are not having good economic situations right now, and I want those individuals to benefit from airdrops, to be able to change their life. Like in the case of Godswill, okay, he's able now to go to the UK. If you tell anybody that somebody in Nigeria was able to get an opportunity to travel to the UK with a student visa to get to get a degree in the UK, you wouldn't believe that, right? But he was very, in his case, he was very persistent. He told me that he started this journey in 2020. He applied in 2020. I think he had a couple interviews, but he had to back out of a couple of them. I forgot what the specifics were, maybe because of financial situations. And now he was able to actually go through the interview, get accepted. And he's actually, what is it? Today, Tuesday. He told me he leaves on Thursday. So he's actually heading to the UK, and that's an opportunity for him and his entire family. Okay, going from the troubles that Nigeria's going through right now to the UK, that's a huge opportunity, and that's what I hope. I hope that community members, you meet people, you network, and out of that, opportunities come up. That's what I'm hoping, because I know that for ScoreMilk, the girl that joined the Tronverse team, it's through networking. We met her through other projects. She was part of Cointelegraph at one point. I think it was Cointelegraph China or something along those lines. Then she became a member of another blockchain. We met her through there. She's in the VC world, and and then she wants to help out. So if someone like that wants to help out, by all means. I mean, she saw potential, and she now she's running with it. So I think building that community opens up a lot of opportunity. And going back to what I said about, hey, in these game nights, you win $30-$40, but that's not the real thing. $30-$40 is $30-$40. It's a lot of money in some parts of the world, but it could be so much more if we all put more effort into growing a community on Tron, or just simply growing a community, because that brings a lot more opportunities. Okay, if you have a strong community in crypto, you could pretty much do anything. You could launch a strong meme coin. You could, there's so many things. When one person finds out alpha, he shares it with with everybody else. And a lot of people, like I said, some people don't really, life isn't going to change if in my case, ScoreMilk doesn't pan out, right? It's my life is going to be the same. I've been fortunate enough, to be involved in crypto, relatively early. But I want those who are new to also have success, because the more success they have, the easier it is to go ahead and grow the community, and just grow. Just success is what matters, man. If people are happy, they're going to support it. If people are not happy, they're not going to support it. So I want people to be happy. I want those people who join our community to benefit. Any information that I can share that'll help them, I'm going to, as I've done with you, Big, also, without even knowing you. I barely knew you, and I told you, hey, boom, check this out. Same thing, and I hope somebody did that with me at some point, right? Somebody gave me information about Tron. They could have not told me anything. They could have just stayed quiet, and life went on, working 9 to 5. But no, they took the effort to reach out to me. They reached out to me. Then I met my partner, Eder. And that was, if I wouldn't have met him, nothing would have happened, right? Because Eder's very business savvy. He is that persistent person that just does not stop until he becomes the best at what he does. If I wouldn't have met him, I guarantee you I would never have been an SR. It didn't even cross my mind to be SR. He's the one that came up to me, and he already had everything set up. He had the website set up. When he presented it to me, everything was done. He goes, hey, George, I know you're a big Tron supporter. My other friend, he's like, I know you're good with servers. You work for IBM. Look, this is what I have built. And he showed us everything he already had built. He built it before even presenting it to us. At that point, we had no choice but to say, yeah, man, I'm in. It's already built. Let's go. So just meeting people. If I would never have met Eder, things would be very different right now. And the same goes for the community. There's going to be people that you meet that will potentially change your life, whether it's because of advice or help that they give you at some point, or even technical help, and you just got to be open to making those connections, because that doesn't apply to crypto. This applies to, and this goes along with your emotional intelligence talks that you have on Thursday, Big, also. it goes a lot with just corporate America. When you're in corporate America, it's all about, getting to get being liked. Being liked is very important. Uh, Obviously, being trusted, trustworthy is very important, and these things play a big factor in how your career evolves throughout your life. So you just got to be open to meeting people, opportunities. People help each other out. People who are friends, they help each other out. Okay, when one of my friends needs a job, I talk to my employer and I'm like, hey, this guy, my best friend, I got him an internship when this was back. I mean, this is a long time ago. I was an intern as well, but he needed a job. I talked to my boss and I'm like, hey, look, my buddy, he's studying computer engineering. He needs an internship. And they got him a job. So it's all about in life, in corporate America, it's not all. You obviously got to know what you're doing, but a lot of it has to do with your relationships. And I think that's why community is so important. You got to build those relationships. uh, God's will is a great example. He just reached out to us one day. I don't even know. I don't even remember the time he reached out to us, but he was helping us out. I don't even remember how. One day he reached out to us, and I don't remember if it was writing articles or I don't remember exactly what aspect of it. But he reached out. He goes, "Hey, I want to help. I want to help," and just believed in what we were doing and has helped ever since. So it's just it's building those relationships. I'm gonna leave it at that. I know we've been already for a good hour, but relationship is very important. And if we put our effort to it, if everybody in the community works together, okay, we can build the strongest community in crypto. Okay, on Tron, we definitely can. We just got to go ahead and put our minds to it. One thing that kind of bothered me during the first meme season is that everybody wanted to launch their own meme. It's like, why? Why don't you just support the same meme? Okay, let's have one success story instead of 100 failures. Okay, I think if we stop that fragmentation of of the community and everybody believes in one common thing, we can make it happen. And that's why one of the efforts we're putting is on the Tron Bulls. I think Tron Bulls, which is the Tron mascot, I think that has huge potential. If everybody stands behind them, everybody on Tron stands behind them, I do not see why they cannot compete with the Pudgy Penguins, with a Bored Ape Yacht Club, with any of those top tier NFTs. Because all you need to do is have a strong community behind it, instead of having a community divided into 50 or 100 different projects. That doesn't get anywhere. That's just that's my opinion, but I definitely think the potential is there.
Yeah, I think right now, with some uncertainty in the Tron ecosystem, I'm hearing whispers. I think now is more than ever. It's more important to work on that community and help each other, right?
What uncertainties?
I think
What are some of the uncertainties that come to mind?
I think I heard people like saying now the burn rate is not it has gone down because of the drop in transaction costs. So I think the burn
Yeah,
yeah.
I I get that, but you can't build a business
Mhm.
hoping that deflation is gonna be your solution. Okay, uh, I think being a little bit inflationary is good. Okay, I think if you're deflationary, people just hold on to their TRX and they don't want to do anything. And yes, it could serve as an asset that's appreciating, but that's only going to get you so far. I mean, if you want a blockchain to be one of these mainstream powerhouses, you need to have user acquisition. You need to have organic growth. You need to have the transactions need to go up, significantly. You can't just hope, oh, if we're deflationary, yeah, the price is going to keep doing well. I mean, yeah, I get the point. I get it. I get it that supply. You're restricting supply, but to go big, you need adoption. You need more and more transactions. So I really have no problem with being a little bit inflationary. Now, if you're 20% inflationary, that's a problem. But if you look, if you compare it to just the economics, world economics aside of crypto, every currency is inflationary. Okay. The problem with deflation is that people then don't want to go ahead and spend their currency, right? You build an economy by people spending their currency, not by people hoarding it. Okay. Because imagine So I read this before. Like, let's say the currency keeps getting more and more um, stronger every day just because it's deflationary. Okay, so people are just not going to spend it. Businesses go out of business because they can't sell products because people are like, oh, I'm just going to hold on to this. You know,
I would push back a bit on that because I think I just watched a video, right? Like, the whole, I think they were talking, it's traditional economic theory where they said you need inflation to push people to spend, but in the past few years I think it's been shown that even in bad times, like, people aren't spending, like, even with inflation, right? I think that the guy goes through deeper and has more data to back that up. But I think,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
not I'm not an
Yeah.
economist by all means, so don't take my I do not give financial advice either.
Yeah.
But I just don't have a problem with a little bit of inflation,
Yeah. But I
right?
think the
If
whole,
you're
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I'm saying if you're a growing blockchain to the level that Tron is, which is clearly a powerhouse, a little bit of inflation is not a big deal.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's Ethereum's I don't know, say it's like their theory, like they would adjust it, so it needs to maybe inflate a bit, deflate a bit, depending on the circumstances. I'm also not too sure in terms of economic theory how it solves certain problems, but I think the idea behind idea of reducing transaction costs is basically to be more competitive with other chains, and obviously, hopefully that increases more transactions overall on the chain and spurs on more adoption and grows the community on Tron.
And and Corey, remember, I mean, as SRs, we can always go ahead and backtrack. If it's not working, we could always put another proposal to change that.
Mhm.
So it's, I mean, at this point, it's probably a trial and error. Look at them, do it for 6 months, compare the metrics. Was it worth it? Okay, it wasn't worth it. Let's go ahead and backtrack. So I don't think I don't see an issue at all. Uh, Uncertainty on Tron. I think right now we're at the time that there's the least uncertainty on Tron. Okay, I think uncertainty on Tron might have been 3 4 years ago,
Mhm.
where it was competing with EOS, it was competing with Neo. Where are those chains right now? EOS is I don't even know where EOS is at. EOS was supposed to be EOS and Tron were competing for Ethereum killers, right? EOS disappeared.
Yeah.
Tron is still top 10.
I actually did a
I think
I did an interview with them for like with 4P, and
yeah,
I analyzed their token model, and to me it didn't make sense.
it did make sense or
It,
it
it
didn't make
didn't
sense.
it didn't make sense because I think they were just
Yeah.
printing too much. Yeah.
Okay. But I think right now there's much less uncertainty when it comes to Tron. I mean, it's doing everything right to be integrated into the United States.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
Mm.
once you have that, it's a backer of World Liberty Financial. Justin is now all the time with the Trumps who are the administration. I don't see the uncertainty. I don't see the uncertainty like maybe I understood maybe 3 4 years ago those uncertainty because you're like, well, it's every exchange in the U.S. is blocking Tron, right? I think that's
Y-
changing.
Yeah.
So when it comes to uncertainty, I think right now is as sound as it's ever been. I
Mm.
mean, leading in stables, you're one of the leaders in stables. The Genius Act got passed. They want to make the U.S. the main jurisdiction for stable coins. Everything is going in the right direction. So I don't see the uncertainty at all. That's my opinion. I mean, that's just comparing it to what it was maybe 3 4 years ago.
Yeah. Definitely, there's like a lot of big news recently this year. Like, it's all huge. Yeah. So maybe any last words from Big Oso before we end the stream?
For me, like I say in the beginning, thank you. This is the second episode. It's beautiful, beautiful conversation. Now I'm thinking the next episode, who's going to be the one? But I really appreciate the words of George. Thank you for giving time to us, giving back to the community. And yes, man, I'm for sure that in 3 years to come, we're going to see us a lot better, and we're going to succeeding our goals, and our goals are bigger because we know that we can achieve them. So thank you for everybody that is watching us. More than 78 people. That's a beautiful number. So man, let's keep on growing and grinding, guys.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for joining the stream, Big Oso. Any last words, George?
Yeah, man, guys, thank you for putting this together. I mean, this is what it takes, right? It takes you guys initiating it, and then we just got to go ahead and empower. Like I've mentioned many times, we got to empower the community to see the vision and work towards the same goals that we have. I thank everybody who joined us. If you guys have any questions whatsoever related to anything, related to whether it's just simple crypto questions, whether it's ScoreMilk, whether it's Tronverse, anything whatsoever, just go ahead and reach out to us. I mean, we're here to help. I mean, we're I guess we're considered OGs. We've already we've like I say, there's nothing for us. If things don't pan out, we're still okay, and we want to just go ahead and help as much as we can to grow the community. Just a reminder: every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m., you have the opportunity to join the Tron Game Nights. All you have to do is be on our Discord server. So if you go ahead, you join our Discord server, that automatically qualifies you for some of the raffles that we do. Now, if you do go ahead and play the games, we do have a lot of raffles for those who are on the leaderboard, whether you place or you don't place. Of course, if you place, you're going to earn more, and then you're going to qualify for the big spins at the end of the 2 hour night. Which the big spins is we usually do three or four $20 spins for those who place, and place means the top five in each game, and then we always have a signature game, which is the top eight. So to make it simple, if you place in two of the games, then you have two opportunities to win some of those three or four $20 spins. But you don't have to play. If you're not a gamer, that's fine. You're welcome to join our Discord chat. You're even welcome to join our stream. If you want to be on stage, you can just message anybody from our team and we'll gladly add you on stage just to chit chat, answer any questions. If you're a project and you want to be highlighted to our community, we've been getting about 80 attendees every game night for the last, I'd say for the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've been getting about somewhere between 70 and 85. The last one might have been 89. But if you want to present your project to our community, you're more than welcome. We've highlighted many projects before. We've highlighted Sun Pump. We've highlighted Ape NFT, Tron Power, Tron Energy, Just Money, CFT. And I'm sure there's some that I may be missing. We pretty much try to, and we also go over some educational stuff: how to set up a wallet, how to set up multi-sig, how to buy energy, how to buy bandwidth, how to swap a token, how to provide liquidity. We've done all those things. We usually take about 5-10 minutes at the beginning of every game session just to put together those education pieces which we think are important. But yeah, if anybody, I invite you guys all to attend. It's at 4 p.m. The next one is today. So in about 3 hours and 15 minutes. All you got to do is go to our X and we have a Discord link there. Join it. And I look forward to seeing you guys there. It's a fun time, good bonding, good friendship building. So thank you guys. Thank you Corey for putting this together, for all the questions. Big also, and not only for this, but also for your support. You guys have been on stage on ScoreMilk for I think the last 3 to 4 weeks continuously. Every game net that we've had, you guys have, put in the time to be there on stage and help, because one of the things that's important is numbers, right? If you have a game night with only two individuals, it's not the same as having a game night with 8 guys just talking, you know, trash talking to each other, playing games, wagering $10 a game on Tronverse. That's what makes it fun. So I really do appreciate you guys being there, and I also do try my best to support you guys in anything that you guys do. So thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. And thank you, the community, for being here with us. I think you're muted, Corey.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so just want to say, thank you again for joining us on the second episode of Tronpower Talk. Yeah, so the whole idea is to, help the whole community in any way I can. I'm probably considered a smaller project, but trying to, contribute in any way I can to individuals, whether it's developers on Telegram, on the Tron DAO group chat, or just, the whole ecosystem itself. Yeah, so I, really thank you and ScoreMilk for highlighting me on your um, Discord game
And
nights.
Corey, I'm a big fan of DeFi. Like
Mm.
I'm ever since I use DeFi, I am a big fan of DeFi. So I'm very excited to whatever you're building behind that reactor door that you don't give me access to. Yeah, I'm very excited because, like I say, ever since I use DeFi, man, it has changed my life, man. I have taken loans with almost zero APR, basically,
Wow.
with zero interest. So I'm a very very big fan. So keep doing what you're doing. If you know the energy market, if it goes beyond that and becomes something DeFi related, I'm all there to support you.
Yeah, so yeah, I think, hearing that your background in math, I think you might be quite interested in the protocol itself, like how I designed it. But yeah, I think more than ever, the project reactor is going to be important for the Tron ecosystem. I know it's going to be very important for me because of the drop in returns from energy. So I think I'm going to focus really heavily on the DeFi, and I hope that Tron is able to get a bigger community with this initiative, the Tronpower Talk. This is supposed to help not only the Tron ecosystem gain awareness on the projects they are building on it, but just the wider crypto community can learn about the very interesting projects building on Tron. I'm gonna highlight. I got a couple of projects highlighted. They're exploring building on Tron. Some are building on, some already have been building on Tron. Some of them are exploring Tron as the layer. Um, but yeah, so I think yeah, we just keep building, and if any, just want to shout out if anyone knows any Tron whales, like come and ask them to delegate their energy on the whole platform to sell some energy and bandwidth. I think ScoreMilk has been supporting us. The community members have been buying bandwidth from us, so that's really helpful. And yeah, so look out for the next episode next week. We have yeah, an interesting project. Maybe I'll just give hint. It's an NFT project. I think we confirmed them this just today, and then we have another one after that. I think that one's very interesting as well. So yeah, look out for more episodes, and yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you guys, and thank you everybody watching. Have a good
Yeah,
one, guys.
see ya.
Line is right, and it is me every time. Couldn't run out, tried. So do it one more time. I don't wanna free fall, dancing in your cold. I die just to know what's on your mind. It's been meaning for so long, out of your control. I die just to love you one more time. When you hold me with your eyes, oh, it burns me up inside. It's like fire, it's like fire. Oh, I'm fighting for my life, just one touch and I'm alive. It's like fire. I fall.